Welcome to the Valley Politics History Interviews. I'm Terry Christensen. Wiggsy Sivertsen has been an activist and leader of the LGBTQ community in Santa Clara County for decades. She's a veteran of the political battles of the 1970s and 1980s, and with Ken Yeager, she was a founder of BAYMAC, the leading LGBTQ political organization in the South Bay. Professionally, Wiggsy worked as a counselor and director of counseling at San Jose State University, where she was also a leader of faculty and staff unions. We aired our interview with Wiggsy in two parts in 2017. Now, here it is in full. We are in the home of Wiggsy Sivertsen. Wiggsy, thank you for welcoming us.
You're very welcome. I'm glad to have you.
Probably in the spirit of full disclosure, I should tell people before the interview, we've been friends for almost 50 years.
We have.
And collaborators on one or two political occasions,
Yeah.
Yes. Tell us what you've been doing since you retired. You were 45 years as a counselor at San Jose State.
Yeah, I was actually 47 years there.
47 years.
And I retired and came home and broke my hip.
Oh.
So I've been sort of recuperating, but since that, when I finally was able to get out and around, which I wasn't able to do for a while, I did join the senior commission, and I've been on the police, citizens review.
That's San Jose's police.
San Jose Police, the community advisory board, and also on this chief's gay and lesbian subcommittee, and then I'm on the intimate partner violence blue ribbon committee.
And you've been an LGBT leader in the Valley for all your time here, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's start with what brought you out of the closet as a lesbian.
I got fired.
You got fired?
Yeah, I was at a job that I'd held for about 5 years, and between going to graduate school and stuff, and they found out that I was a lesbian, and I molested children because I was a lesbian, so they fired me. And I thought to myself, they're really stupid. I've worked for them for 5 years. I didn't figure it out. So they wanted me to go away quietly. They said, well, we'll let you come in on the weekend and gather your things. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So I told everybody on the staff, all the volunteers, all the parents, and they picketed the place. So that was my first coming out. And then I went to San Jose State as a faculty counselor in 67 to fill in for a sabbatical, a guy who was on sabbatical. And then the following year, he committed suicide, and so I ended up staying there. But when I went to San Jose State, I went to Bob Clark, who was then the president, a really wonderful man, and told him, this is what happened, and I want to let you know that because I don't want to get fired again. He said, oh, go away, Wiggsy, do your job. And that was the end of that, and I was just there for all those years as an out lesbian person.
47 happy years.
47 happy
47
years.
busy years.
Very busy.
So you arrive at San Jose State, you're an out lesbian, but when did you get started advocating for LGBT issues?
Well, actually, the first year I was there, I was just trying to make my way, trying to figure out what was going on. And one of the things that I did is I was hired to do therapy for students. But it struck me at the time is that doing therapy for people, anybody, students, anybody, and not, reaching out into the community and trying to deal with the issues in the community was probably not a good use of my time. So that's really what got me started. And the fact that I was fired. I mean, I thought, well, this has happened to me, it's happened to other people, and it was a very painful experience for me. And I knew it was painful for other people, and I knew there was a lot of other discrimination. I did a lot of work with students in terms of doing interracial encounter groups and things like that. And so I thought, well, I just have to make some effort to change this world because it's not a nice world to be in. And
you made a lot of effort over a lot of years. We're going to talk more about some of the specific LGBT political history, but you also were president of the faculty union, you were chair of the academic senate, so you weren't only active on LGBT issues.
Oh, no.
Why were these other things important? Wasn't LGBT stuff enough?
No. Because I have never really been a person that just focuses on one thing, like racism, sexism, because I think we're all in the world, and I think those issues are out there. So being chair of the Senate and the faculty union to me was important to make a contribution to the campus that had made such a contribution to my life, and also to model for our students particularly that you could be gay, lesbian, bi, or whatever, and still have leadership roles and be focused on by your activities. You don't have to hide under a rock or something like that. So I thought it was really important for me. When I first came out, I was at San Jose State. I was the only out person on campus for some years.
A long time.
Yeah, and my thought was that if I was more out and did more things, and beside that, I wasn't just a gay person.
Yeah.
I was a faculty person at San Jose State that had a responsibility to take care of students' lives, and to me, taking care of students' lives meant taking care of the university as well.
And you made it more comfortable for a lot of other people to be out.
Yes, I think eventually, although I had a number of those people come up to me and say, I really love what you do, Wiggsy, but I do wish you'd be quiet about it. I thought,
Well, that didn't work, did it?
No, it didn't. I thought, how could I do this and be quiet?
So Wiggsy, 1978, November 1978, that was a pivotal year for the gay rights movement in California, beginning with the defeat of the statewide Proposition 6, but also at the end of November, the assassination of Harvey Milk and George Moscone, the supervisor, the out gay supervisor, Harvey Milk in San Francisco, George Moscone, who was mayor. Some people may not know this who are watching this program. It's 1978. What effect did those events have on your activism and your political advocacy, the defeat of Prop 6 and the assassination of Milk and Moscone?
Well, let me start with the assassination first. It hit me, pretty hard because it was such a painful thing. I knew Harvey, and had talked with him a number of times. And so it wasn't like we were personal friends, but, we knew each other was there and we backed each other up. And I just thought it was horribly painful. And
did you meet him in the No on 6 campaign or before?
Yeah, no, I met him in the No on 6 campaign. I did those TV shows with John Briggs. Ugh.
And Proposition 6, the Briggs Initiative, would have banned homosexuals teaching in schools.
Yes,
right?
And anybody who supported homosexuals. So we were going to alienate the whole world. So that then brought me, through that painful experience and the Briggs Initiative, defeat of the Briggs Initiative, kind of taught me something. Because I really still believe pretty firmly if, Carter and
President Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan.
Governor Ronald Reagan.
And a couple of other people who were fairly important came out and said that the Prop 6 wasn't necessary. And I think they made a great contribution to our success in that campaign. I don't think we would have done it alone. But it also, for me, it said that, we got to get more people on our side, more people in our boat. We can't just be queers in a boat. And having Carter and Reagan speak out on our behalf was kind of an affirmation of that belief system for me. Because I thought that, I don't think that human rights, whichever they are, can go it alone. I don't think that blacks can have equality in this country by going it alone. And I think we should celebrate things like Black Lives Matter. They do really matter, just like others. It doesn't say others don't, it just says theirs do. And I think we should be really out there affirming those things because we have to work collectively.
Okay, so 1979, you helped persuade the San Jose City Council and the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors to pass an anti-discrimination ordinance as applied to gays and lesbians. 1980, that's put on the ballot as a referendum by the religious right in the Valley and repealed. Tell us about how that happened.
Well, I wasn't very enthusiastic about putting the gay ordinances on the city and the county agenda because I didn't think we were ready for that.
I guess you were right.
Yeah. I mean, to me, if you're going to do something and you're doing human rights issues, that are really touchy and vulnerable, is you got to do it in a way that you can assure some kind of success. Because I think what happened with the ordinance is it brought all those people out against us. Now, I don't think that was a bad thing because we got to see our enemies, in action. Yeah. But I probably wouldn't have put it on the ballot that soon. Others were more enthusiastic about that.
And yet, several rallied to the LGBT cause,
They did.
even in the face of that.
Yes, they did, and that was the thing that to me was really an issue, is to be concerned not to put our friends at risk. You know, when we want something from them, we ought to be able to back them up and protect them.
Well, is that kind of where BAMEC come from? BAMEC is the Bay Area Municipal Elections Committee, formed in 1984 by UN now County Supervisor Ken Yeager as a political organization.
Yeah, when Ken and I got together and had lunch at Ulipia.
Restaurant downtown San Jose, yeah.
And had a long talk that we needed something in the community that wasn't, you know, really intense street politics, but that was more thoughtful and slow in terms of how we go about doing this, more personal, one-on-one kind of stuff. So we talked for a long time, and we decided to do BAMEC, you know, and the thing that we made commitments about BAMEC is that we were going to be really conscious of our friends and patient with our friends. You know, if they weren't ready to jump on our side, particularly if they were running for political office, that was okay. That was the first thing we wanted. The second thing we wanted was we didn't want to just be focusing on gay rights. We wanted to include other people who were struggling with discrimination and exclusion and outness kind of stuff. And so we had a long talk about the idea of being really inclusive of other people who were struggling, women and blacks, browns, you know. And the third thing is that we wanted to educate our own community. You know, we wanted to get them involved and get them recognizing that they have power, they have influence, and to use it. And finally, that make a world safe for others to come out of the closet.
So this is 1984. 1986, there are 1986 and 88, there are two more anti-gay ballot measures, the LaRouche Initiative, both on the ballot, 86 and 88, 69 and 102 were the propositions. Both were defeated. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How did that happen? How did we succeed at defeating those measures statewide?
Well, I think that, you know, certainly a lot of it had to do with Ken's organizational skills, you know, getting people organized and stuff, and being out there and speaking on behalf of it and showing them the utter stupidity of these initiatives, you know, the people. And I think that people recognize that Linda LaRouche, you know, has got a whole bucket loose of screws.
These were pretty extreme because they were going to quarantine people who were HIV positive, right?
Right, and they were going to put us all on an island someplace.
With a register like Donald Trump's talking about today for
exactly.
Muslims.
Exactly. And so I think that people really found the idea of doing that kind of thing not fair. I mean, it wasn't what people wanted.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing related to this, you mentioned you didn't like shouting at people, and I've been impressed by your ability to persuade leaders like Senator Al Alquist, then Congressman Norm Mineta, to pull them over to your side. How did you do that with those guys? It didn't come naturally to them.
No, it didn't. Norm, you know, Ken and I visited Norm maybe 3 times, you know, trying to pull him over. I mean, he got kicked by the A and B election too. He got it that that's a dangerous place to be. And he didn't understand that his lot in life was very similar to ours. Because
Norm was Japanese American who was interned as a child during World War II.
Right.
Yeah.
And once he, you know, began to make that connection, then Chris Sobel, his, you know, policy wonk in Washington, D.C., we kind of solicited his help too. And he and Norm were fairly close, very close actually. And so between the 3 of us, Ken, myself, and Chris, we were able to keep talking to Norm and have him see it. Finally, you know, he got it, and all of a sudden, it's like Chris said, it was like a light that went off for him, and he really recognized that what would happen to him and his family, you know, was the same as what was happening to us and our families.
So here we are today. LGBT people can get married. There's much more acceptance of gay and lesbian and bisexual and transgender people. Is your work done?
Oh, hell no. No, I mean, I think that there's, you know, prejudice is one of those, it's like mud. You know, if you don't watch it, it'll just seep in and dirty your carpets. So we have to be watchful. There are more and more kids growing The whole issue of transgender, stuff is coming up. Look what happened in North Carolina. That kind of stupidity, is really dangerous. There are people that still think that we should probably go to jail, and they're in leadership roles. I see that North Carolina lost their desire, they wanted to have a legislation that would kill the bathroom thing, and the stupidity of that is, what are you going to stand at the door and say, let me see your penis every time somebody comes into the bathroom? I mean, that's ridiculous. And to do that to kids, to put them in those harmful places is just, to me, reprehensible. It is, when you hurt kids, you do the most ugly thing you can to human beings. And I think the religious right will find a voice in the next 4 years, which is lost for this last 8 years. But I think they may find a voice in some parts of this country.
So you're not optimistic about the future?
I am not. I'm optimistic. I'm always optimistic. I mean, my thing is, okay, get in my way, I'll step on you.
What do we need to do?
I think we need to keep talking. I think we need to keep talking to our community. I think we need to become responsible. I'm amazed at how irresponsible people are in this country. They don't even bother to vote. They don't know anything. And I think we need to keep pushing that message. I think we still need to work on behalf of, our fellow citizens who still struggle with discrimination. And I think we need to work really hard to make sure that kids are protected.
So we need to stay engaged.
We need to stay engaged.
You need to stay engaged.
I do.
For other interviews with the leaders and activists who shaped the history of San Jose and Santa Clara County, look for the Valley Politics History Interviews on YouTube. I'm Terry Christensen. Thanks for watching.